Kia ora, good morning. So, I've been sitting here going over my future and my future investments, where I'm going, what I'm doing with my future, I need to make a plan and it needs to be finalised and it needs to be done now. So, now that I've figured out, if you go over to my ex, the whole grandmother tree thing, I finally figured it all out. When I followed, my message that I've been following since I was 4 or 5, I've figured it all out. I just had to do the last piece of the puzzle, which was when I looked up after the grandmother tree. I say chitiwa hey, put my face up against her back, say chitiwa hey, and she tells me to go right, and to follow the animals and the horses and that, and when they stop to look up right. So I've done that. I looked up. I've figured out the star because I was told that it would point me home. So when I figured out finally after 46, 47 years what all of that message was, it pinpointed me to Russia, and more specifically I think Moscow, around that area, on where I'm to go and where I am to build my retreat. Now I've been calling it the Castle in the Sky. I've tried to throw around a lot of different names. Castle Retreat, North Star Retreat, just Queen Bee Retreat. I tried all sorts, nothing stuck, absolutely nothing stuck. So then I was sitting there thinking, okay, so for all the countries that don't want to build a foundation because their governments will have to pay for the kids to come and stay with us, we'd be, helping them out, taking pressure off their mental health services and all of that, the foster care system and that. So the least they can do is pay for the kids' accommodation and food while we're helping heal them. So for the countries that didn't want to do that, I'm going to build my retreats in as many countries as I can. The more I'm able to invest, because I know I'm onto something with what I've just created behind closed doors. But I need a name, and it's got to be something like the Hilton or the Quality Inn, where they're all over the world, where people know their name. You just mention their name and people know the Hilton. People know Caesars. People know the Quality Inn. People know Premier Inn. Depending on, you're either a national brand or an international one. The Travel Lodge. Well, we're going to have my retreats. I've just put the last finishing puzzle pieces together in regards to the haunted house side of it, and making as much money as I can. Like, I've put the finishing touches on everything, and then the name just came to me, and then I thought, oh my god, after 46, 47 years, the grandmother tree finally makes sense, and I've got it on the back of my neck. The grandmother tree is the oak tree. And the trees on the Callaghan coat of arms are oak trees. So I'm going to call my resort, I'm getting emotional because I'm very proud, I'm going to call my resort the Oak Tree Resort. Oak Tree Resort. I don't know whether to go with the Oak Tree Resort or Oak Tree Resort, meaning Callaghan Resort. But it's all. So, which now makes perfect sense as to how I wanted Mama Bear's Kitchen Cafe and Bakery to look. I said I wanted it to be like at the bottom of a tree, or like be depending on which building I bought. I could either turn one area in one of the castles I was looking at into a bear's den for the kitchen, cafe and bakery, but where it looks like the den is like in a crevice on like a mountain side with oak trees growing out the top sort of thing, or make it look like she was at the base of the tree. Depending on which one I bought, I could have gone either way. One of them would have been a hell of a more suited to being a den, than the other one, which would have been more suited to being looking like it was at the base of a tree. But I wanted it to look like, all the roots of the tree were coming down, and she'd have her little herbs and stuff growing on the walls, and that's how I wanted it to look. And now it all makes sense. In Vladimir's dragon, Anahita's cottage is at the base of the grandmother tree. And when you climb up the grandmother tree, it takes you to, with a little help from my friends. And in with a little help from my friends, Jeb the Goblin King and his creatures from the Shadowland are trying to gain access to the grandmother tree so that they can climb down it and have access to Anahita's cottage, so they can jump in the water and come up through the bottom of the Tower of Oracles, because they want to gain access to the Tower of Oracles so that they can control what communication gets to Brahena Saithusa, who was the eye in the sky. So now it all makes sense. So now my retreat, I'm going to call it the Oak Tree Resort and Wellness Centre or something. But yep, the Oak Tree. So I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just waiting to get the green light, and then I'm packing my stuff and I'm out. I know where to go now. I get it. I finally understand it. I've figured out, after all these years, I finally figured out the code. I've got messages on my Instagram and they're of me having conversations with my students back in the day, trying to figure out where this bloody grandmother tree was, because I was always told by one of my students, Nikki, her father, who's Native American and Mexican, was talking in the reading. He said, when you head north, and when you get to the star, turn left. And I figured out, and there you'd find the grandmother tree. And so we figured out maybe like it was like New York, and then turn left. So we thought, okay, is that like Montana, one of the Dakotas, Wisconsin, Michigan? Like, we spent ages trying to figure it out. But then if you go up one, I thought, okay, maple tree, because the maple tree is Canada, so maybe we're meant to be in Canada. And then I realised, and because I thought, okay, Toronto, Ontario, turning left would be Thunder Bay, where I was going to build the first safe house. But then I realised, we were looking at I was looking at Manitoba and that, and even Alaska. And if you go north, follow the star and go north, and then turn left, it takes you to Russia. I'm pretty sure if you keep driving, eventually Moscow, give or take a bend or two. So I figured it out. And when I figured that out, that's when I realised the grandmother tree was the name of my resort. The Oak Tree. The Oak Tree Resort. Or we'll call it like the Oak Tree Inn. The Oak Tree Inn. So there you go. Finally figured the name out.